That's why I have it slicked back like I'm about to go to ballet class or something.
It looks cute.
I just
I'm
felt,
speaking at the city council meeting again tonight.
oh, good, you can give us a preview. That's always entertaining too.
I put together a whole presentation. Like I really put effort into it to frame everything around demoralization.
Yeah, we've landed, so I hit record. Did you give us a heart? Oh, we've got Sister Nino and Laura in the house. All right, that's a good duo. We don't need anything more than that.
We are
Awesome.
complete.
We're complete. Right on. All right, so you were just letting me know without any information yet what you started to tell me, and then I was hitting the live stream that you're once again using the show as a warm up for your performance at at the city council meeting tonight. What's on the docket?
Okay, so what's on the docket is that I'm framing did I show you the all the fentanyl posters that we have up here?
No.
Wait, let me just get my notes. You can't even believe how ridiculous it is. It's like I live in Portland without the benefits of living in Portland. It's that same culture. Do you see this?
Yes. Oh my God.
These are everywhere in Santa Fe. Never use alone. Have a friend so you could get twice as much fentanyl. These fucking losers. So I'm framing, I told you, Michael would love to see me go off at a city council meeting. Because I went off at the last meeting, I'm trying to show up calm and not like a psycho. I'm trying so hard. So I've been practicing. And even when I practice in the shower, I end up going off like a psycho. And I'm thinking like, if I just practice it enough, maybe I'll get all the psycho out and I can just be calm this time. But I'm framing the unlawful removal of the obelisk statue without any consent of the governed with our insane fentanyl homeless problem under the umbrella of demoralization. And I pulled examples from history, from Stalin, Hitler, Mao, Saddam Hussein, the Taliban, and North Korea.
Nice.
Instances of dictators taking statues down as their entry point into authoritarian takeover.
Oh, love it. And you chose all the dictators that they hate, right? And so, like that, yes, that's a good tactic. It would be awesome if you could forget like bringing it on your phone or a computer. If you could like roll out the TV with the VHS like we used to have at school back in the 80s, right?
No, I'm bringing it on paper. I don't.
No, I'm about to offer you another thing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Could roll the TV out there, like the grainy TV with the VHS machine, and play a tape of Yuri Bezmenov explaining a demoralization and subversion type campaign.
I would love to. So the thing is that we usually only get 2 minutes, but I'm afraid that when Weber sees me, our disgusting traitor mayor, that he might drop it down to 1 minute.
Right.
So I don't have a lot of time, but I'm trying to be cancel clear delete.
You have all the time that you need.
And I was also holding myself to like, I'm not there just to like off gas and go off. Like, what am I trying to accomplish? So I'm trying to, my goal is mutiny. And my goal is the mayor is the fucktard. So I'm speaking to the city council. And my goal is to inspire them to act in concert against him, right, and take our city back. So I have a very clear call to action. And I'm just hope that I can stay calm. That's the goal.
Do you need like, I don't know, like Laura has these CBD gummies or something like that, right?
I'm probably gonna do a shot of mezcal before.
Ah, there you go. That helps.
To see if it'll calm me down. But the hilarity is that this whole thing is part of this whole like woke, erase the history, anti-colonialism, but it's being headed up by the rich white people who aren't from here, who are telling the dumb Hispanics and the dumb Indians that they're doing their culture wrong. And there's no self-awareness around their own hypocrisy.
To be clear, you don't mean that Hispanics and Indians are dumb. You mean that the dumb members of that group of people, right?
I mean, the communication embedded in the way this is happening is that the rich white people who have recently moved to Santa Fe are telling the dumb
Well,
locals how they're doing their culture wrong.
I remember when I was in Santa Fe, like one afternoon, when I was out visiting with Elisa, you were sending me texts that you had with some gentleman who had just moved to Santa Fe and was like assisting the teaching of some course on like, I don't know.
Oh, it was called Dear White People.
Yeah.
And it was alleging to teach white people how not to be so racist against black. This person literally had been in town like 2 weeks, and it was on a Telegram group, and I put a barfy face emoji on it, and then the person took the post off of our group. Hey, but then it messaged me privately to ask why I barfy faced emojied, and I said because I find race baiting bigotry offensive, and I really want no part of that here in Santa Fe.
Yeah, well, it was interesting because I can't remember if it was on our regular show or on the live stream last week, and you were talking about how a particular someone claimed to want to learn, and you had noticed that a lot of these like infiltrating type of leftists always want to
It's the
learn.
script.
And I think he said the same thing. I remember reading those texts.
Yes.
And I'm like, I just want to learn from them and from you and whatever. Right. It was like,
Right. And it was like, please educate me. And I'm like, you can schedule a consultation. It'll be $150 an hour. Like, I could just feel it was like an asset troll trying to co-opt my energy. And I was like, yeah, I'm not buying it.
Not doing it. Oh, all right. So, like maybe we can like you can do like one more round of preparation at the end of our show so you can off gas the last little bit and then you can be out the door and on the way. So
Thank you.
all right, Dani has done the heavy lifting this week in terms of making clips. I've done lots of listening, but like I don't know, I couldn't find my scissors. So Dani has borrowed Sadie's and cut everything up, and sounds like she has a lot for us. So let's get it rolling.
Where do we want to start? I mean, there's like, I mean, the meaty ones are the world's greatest journalists put out another new video, so we can go into that. Or Johnny Vedmore's uncovered like a pile of gold.
Let's start with the world's greatest journalist and then go to an actual journalist. How's that?
All right. So where is the world's greatest journalist?
When did he unseat Michael Schellenberger as the world's greatest journalist?
Well, remember he was on the cover of that Roundup article, and he was compared to who was that guy he was compared to? What the fuck is his name? Mickey does stuff with him.
Oh, I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know what Roundup article is. I saw him on a thumbnail being called a journalist, but I didn't see him called the world's greatest.
Now he calls himself a journalist, and I'm all over it. Actually, before we get into, I'm trolling him harder than ever now. Maybe you could see. Can you see my note?
Wow, powerful, hard-hitting journalism. Unnamed sources share hearsay through personal text messages. Give this guy a Pulitzer.
I'm gonna give myself a thumbs up for that.
Everybody go over there and give Dani a thumbs up. Let's ratio this video, right? All right, let's do it.
Okay, I'm just wondering, do we need to, did you watch this one? Do we need any contextualization?
I watched part of it. Like at a certain point, I asked myself, I'm like, why am I listening to things that make me dumber? And so I turned it off at that point, but I've listened to at least half of it.
Okay, so the basic gist is that RFK put a post up saying that the MMR vaccine is the best way to stave off measles, and then this guy's world's
because it's safe and effective.
Right. All right. So here we go. Fair use.
Hey everyone, big heads up, Paleo Valley.
Sorry.
No,
they're just trying to sell me meat.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's going on in rapid fire? Back on March 28th, I broke a story that was not exclusive and not brand new. It's things that have been alleged.
I just need to stop there. He broke a story. He broke a story. Emily, can you tell us about this story he broke and how the world's greatest journalist broke this story?
So essentially, he got on X and said without evidence that it's about to come out that there's sexual blackmail on RFK Jr. and that he's making this video kind of in support. Candace already said hers, right? But he's making this to keep everyone safe. But he's not going to show the evidence. He's not going to say, he's not going to make it worse for Bobby than it already is or anything like that. That was the gist of the thing I remember from about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And to this point, while we've seen lots of videos talking about this situation, we still have not seen any of this sexual blackmail evidence that both Candace and Ian have gotten quite a large number of clicks based on talking about.
So my guess, I'm just guessing here, is that Candace is his new handler.
Mm-hmm.
But so it was only a week ago, and I think you and I talked about it on the show. The story he broke, now that he identifies as a journalist, was that he has an opinion on things. And that's, I guess, what counts as...
That's a breaking story, dude. That's a breaking story, right?
Like I said, give this guy a freaking Pulitzer. All right, so he broke his story, and then this whole thing is just about, you know, why he's going back on his stance, and I'm not really picking apart his take, although I will come to that after I play these clips, because I was telling you, Emily, before we started recording that I talked to Neil about this. And
Neil is who you play tennis with.
Correct. And Neil is also the author of all of the Vax study books that RFK uses. Also note the change in messaging that now Ian's calling him Bobby 24/7.
Right. But he used to call him RFK.
Correct. Okay. But here we go. Here's another zinger, fair use.
Because he was unafraid to name the dangers of the MMR vaccine. He was courageous enough to tell the truth about measles itself. Where the heck is that Bobby Kennedy now? Did Big Pharma get him? Is he really this naive about MSM that he's playing into their narrative? Is he in over his head? It's time for Maha Nation to raise our voices to encourage Bobby to be based. We voted for based. We didn't vote for needed MMR vaccines. This sentiment is confirmed by many in the health, freedom, and conspiracy theory movements, like Mary.
I wasn't aware that there was a conspiracy theory movement. You and I have been conspiracy theorists probably longer than he's been born. Are you aware that there's a conspiracy theory movement? And is anyone in our audience also conspiracy theorists aware that we are now a movement?
Well, I mean, we've all heard of like the health freedom movement. We've heard of the truther movement, right? All that stuff. But I've never heard anyone use the term conspiracy theorist movement. Give this guy a prize for fucking like biggest dunce ever, dude. Like,
biggest dunce ever. I put it in the same category.
He's almost as embarrassing as Brett.
That's what I was just gonna say.
It's just better looking, right?
It's the same as Brett's COVID dissident.
Right.
Shtick.
It's so
like,
stupid.
It's so fucking stupid. So speaking of Brett, we're just gonna pick it up.
Ian is the new Brett is not a bad title.
Oh, I like that. All right. Taking a note of it.
Tally Bowden, who recently appeared on Tucker Carlson, which is an interview that you should watch if you want to intake all sorts of dangerous misinformation that might rot your brain. Is this what we voted for? No, Mary, it is not. Dr. Suzanne Humphreys, who I mentioned about the Joe Rogan episode, she chimed in, I am speechless. Do we keep defending and making excuses? And if so, for how long? Brett Weinstein weighed in, another hostage video from RFK's official government account. This is not what we voted for. We sent Bobby to Washington to make America healthy again. At POTUS, you need the coalition that elected you to remain intact. Commitment to Maha is not negotiable. Free Bobby Kennedy.
Couple things. So they're using our languaging with the hostage video.
Right.
Clearly Brett's favorite channel. But is HHS secretary a position where the populace votes? Did I miss that opportunity to vote for the HHS secretary?
Well, I think there's people out there that that whether this is the truth or not, the story that they fed their followers or their donors or their patrons or whatever, when they switched teams and did something they said they'd never do or whatever it is that we're just doing this because he's going to give, we're going to, we're going to vote for Trump because we're really voting for Bobby because we want Bobby to blah, blah, blah. Right. So yes, there's this grand conflation going on here that sounds stupid because you're absolutely right. You don't vote for secretary of HHS. But on top of that, we all, anybody who had, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be offensive. This is not a personal assault on anybody who voted for Bobby or Trump or whatever, right? But maybe it is. I don't know. There's not been a single politician in the history of the entire world who says they're going to do a thing and then goes there and does it in the way that they said they're going to do it. If to the extent that anything anyone ever says they're going to do actually happens, it leads you people going if that's not what I meant, Obamacare was a tax, the whatever everything that Trump is doing, right? This is not what anybody meant, right? And so, if somebody just woke up 2 weeks before the election, I can't really forgive them for being asleep that long, but I can forgive them for making that mistake. But lots of people, including all of the people mentioned in that little thing there, should know better by now how this works. You go to Washington and get worse, not better.
It's embarrassing. And he keeps coming back to this throughout the video. This is not what we voted for. This was not the mandate. It's what turnip truck did this guy just fall off of? So, I have clips of just instances of the same old, but what I want to share is, so I played racquetball with my good pal Neil Miller yesterday. Part of Ian's rap in this is he keeps citing these books that Bobby wrote, and he clearly doesn't understand anything as far as Bobby didn't write those books. Bobby's name is on those books, but that's not how any of this works. So I was asking Neil, what's the deal with what Bobby is saying about MMR? So I'm just going to read to us from the email that I got from Neil today clarifying. And keep in mind, Neil writes all the books with all the vax studies that Del Bigtree references, that RFK references, that Sherry Tenpenny references, all of their outward facing work. It all comes back to the books that Neil writes. Okay. So Neil said, Bobby said the measles vaccine is the most effective way to stop the spread of measles. That is a true statement. Measles is quite transmissible. It has an R naught, that's spelled NAUGHT. It has an R naught of about 16. That means it's highly contagious. COVID has an R naught of about 2, to put it in perspective. The measles vaccine became available in 1963. In 1962 and in prior years, about 500 people in the United States died each year from measles. You can protect some people by recommending cod liver oil or vitamin A, but that won't stop the spread of the disease. So to be clear, he's not saying that MMR is safe and effective, but what Bobby actually tweeted is that the MMR vaccine is the most effective way to stop the spread of measles.
Right.
And what Neil is saying is that's true. Now, that doesn't mean the vaccine is
safe. Good. It
Correct.
just means that it does perform that function to a better degree than some other things.
Correct.
That singular function, the singular function. Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I get what Ian is speaking to, and basically I agree, but I never thought that when RFK was put in that he was going to do what he was saying he was going to do. But given that he's pulling dandelion fluff out of nothing to try to create actual stories out of conjecture and tweets that are pissing him off, he's just off. Once again, the world's greatest journalist is off.
Yep. Right. Yeah. And not surprising at all. Not surprising at all. Did you, in that video, in the beginning of that video, he showed like there was 2 tweets of his side by side. And one of them is that one that I told you that I can't find. That was like supposedly some sort of clarification video. Did you happen to watch that video?
Wait, is it an Ian
It's an
clarification
Ian
video?
clip where he has the first video where he broke the story that there was sexual blackmail about Bobby, and then he's saying that the next video after that clarified what he actually meant by that. And I can't, when I go searching through X, find said clarification video, and I was just curious if you had seen it or if it's available for you.
I don't think so. Do you want me to try to find it?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want me to try to find it on X?
I think that's where it is. Like, it's weird. He posts some things on YouTube, some things on X, some things on TikTok, right? So you can't, oh, thank you. So you can't just, you know, it's hard. It's not like he posts all the things everywhere.
He has 1.2 million followers.
Right.
Jesus. All right, so what date are we talking about, just so I can
So
know?
the original video was like March 28th, and this would have been a few days after that.
Did you watch? I tried to watch his Candace. I got 5 minutes in, and I was like, I don't
So
care.
boring.
Life is too short. I can't.
It was so boring, like that, you know, it was interesting how he kept saying that he's poor, that he hasn't done any deals with anybody because he just wants to be able to do his own thing and blah, blah, blah. But there was no new content in it. It was basically just things they'd each said in their own videos. Now they were just sitting there and saying them together.
Oh, joy. Okay, I think I found it. Is this it?
Let's see. Oh, yes. Yeah.
March 30th?
Let's hear.
Blackmail.
Let's hear a little bit of it. Okay.
Let's clear up all the misconceptions about the
Fair
RFK
use.
Jr. blackmail story. First off, the point is not to take down RFK. I am a huge Bobby supporter and I'm a huge Maha supporter, and the point is to support RFK. In talking about the blackmail angle, we are showing Bobby that we don't care. We don't care about his sexual infidelities. There is no evidence that I have seen that anyone has talked about in any of the circles that it has to do with kids or any of the actual like illegal style sexual blackmail. We just want Bobby.
He just says there's no evidence in the circles. Is that what counts as journalistic research? He hasn't heard it mentioned offhand in his circles.
In his like cool kids Telegram group or something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So okay, great. No evidence. What way to really dig in there.
Bobby to save our country. And that's what he's here to do. Blackmail
to
only
save
has
us.
power if it's a secret and it stays in the dark and it's used as leverage. So here's a speed run of what I personally think is going on right now. I have spoken to many people involved in the campaign, from the Maha moms from before the campaign, people that have been around Bobby for a decade and more, that have had serious concerns about this kind of stuff for a long time, but have been afraid to speak about it because they don't want to damage Bobby's reputation or the campaign. Many of these people have been pushed out despite great contributions. Many of them have decided to leave because they just couldn't handle this environment that this kind of control seems to be creating. And the most awkward part is that everyone has different theories about who is controlled within Bobby's camp, who is controlling him, who is an op and who is not. And it's all just allegations without smoking guns at this point. Starting to throw mud and allegations at specific individuals around Bobby without any evidence of it, or at least without a smoking.
Isn't that what Ian's doing around this whole thing?
100%, right? Like he is making the most amount of noise about it of anyone.
And there's zero evidence whatsoever.
Well, right. And also, you know what I've noticed? Where's Nicole Shanahan? We haven't heard from her in several weeks. Where's Amaryllis Fox?
Wasn't there something that just came up where like someone like really slowly like just figured out that
It was
RFK?
Candace. I think it was. Oh, I think it was Candace, or I sent you the video. I think it was Candace, right? But I haven't seen any. Like, did Amaryllis Fox ever get any kind of job in the administration? Like, I know that someone had talked about her becoming like deputy director of the CIA.
RFK was pushing for that.
Right. And then where's Nicole Shanahan? Like, is she
Probably
on board?
fucking a new Jew billionaire.
Is she on board with what Bobby is doing? And if she's not, why isn't she speaking out? Where is she?
I mean, she was pretty active on Twitter for a while. We can look up if we care about what she's
I would just
blatantly on about.
let's look at Amaryllis Fox on Twitter and Shanahan on Twitter and see what they're saying recently.
Now, do you want to move on from Ian?
We can finish Ian and then do it, or we can do it and then go back to Ian.
You know what? I'll just open it in a new tab so we don't lose our Ian spot. How about that?
Sounds great.
Okay, so give me a sec. Do you want me to do this live so you guys can see me hunt, or do you want to entertain the folks with a little dance?
Let's hunt. I'm not in the dancing mood right now.
Okay.
All right, let's see.
Okay, so Amaryllis, do we want to do her first?
Yeah.
Proud to serve on President Trump's Intelligence Advisory Board and as his associate. Oh, Jesus, fuck.
Director of Intelligence and Foreign Affairs. Okay.
Did you know that?
Nope. I'm glad we're checking here. And these are all, let's see, March 21 and tribalism and politics. These aren't her own.
Why are there Ukraine colors for World Down Syndrome Day?
Right.
And how much plastic surgery has this chick had?
Right.
Jesus.
Okay, let's see. February 13th, here's one for her. This one goes out to you, Bobby Kennedy. You never once faltered in your mission, but more exemplary still, you treated those who lied about you and betrayed you with ever-ready grace, even when the world wasn't watching, even when the people who attacked you in public were the ones you loved the most. You fought for America. Oh my God, this is crazy.
I can't with this.
I can't read the whole thing. Okay, so that's what she's up to. She's continuing so I'm just to the point where I'm like, is it, what if maybe it's Shanahan or Amaryllis Fox who's the one who has the blackmail?
I mean, but I feel like RFK was kind of rolling this way before remember, he picked Shanahan because she donated like 10 million to him.
Right, but like the batshit stuff didn't really start with him until Amaryllis Fox joined the campaign and then took over when Kucinich left. That's when he really but he started saying batshit stuff before Kucinich left. That's why he left, right? And when Kucinich left, Amaryllis Fox became the campaign manager, which was probably the play all along. God, oh my God, she's doing God. What is she doing?
Yeah, so remember she's born again.
Yes. Oh my God.
So original. And then she's shilling for climate change.
Okay.
Wait, what is this? Several years ago, I began to question climate change doomsayers when they ignored the opportunity of regenerative agriculture to offset emissions debt. Needless to say, the inquiry continues.
But she has nothing to say about Bobby's ridiculous stuff that he's been doing.
What is this? She seems to be going hard on geoengineering.
Right. Spoke with Thomas Massey.
Ugh, she's probably giving him money. Is there anything that
she's just doing her podcast, so no, nothing. But it is interesting that she's really had nothing to say about Bobby.
Who told me that she's unhappy with her? I heard it through the grapevine that she's unhappy with him. Right. I just don't give a fuck. Like I don't care about her at all. She shouldn't be there. She's not qualified. She fucked a rich guy, got herself knocked up, got herself set for life, and bought her way into politics.
But it's interesting how quietly she's gone. She's just like doing her podcast and being a mom now or whatever. I don't know.
I heard she was interested in running for governor of California.
And here's the part that's like so disturbing about all of this is it's sad to say that would be an improvement. Right?
Right? Totally.
That's how fucked up this shit is. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so back to the world's greatest journalist.
Please, I can't get enough.
I know, he's so great. Okay, lay it on us, porn star.
Gun is super complicated. That's why blackmail environments are so effective in the political arena. This is a learning experience for all of America about how blackmail works and how it is not simple and it is not black and white. so to speak. And imagine
This is a learning experience for all of America because Ian's just cluing into this and throwing noodles at the wall now. Now all of America needs to follow his lead.
Got it, but you got it.
Okay.
Matson just posted a video today on X that is aligned directly with what I'm talking about. She was inside the campaign, no longer, and she talks about one of the people that she suspects might be in on this and about her concerns from during her time around the campaign. And she is not the only one that has these feelings. They are many. But I'm not going to try to dig into who is bad and who is good. It's like, I don't know. I'm going to try to dig into the big picture. And this is what I think. My opinion, make your own. Always think for yourself, especially in blackmail environments. Think for yourself. Because Bobby has gotten a lot of great things done for Maha so far. He's going after the GRAS system. He's getting dyes banned from foods. He's doing a lot of great stuff, mostly around food. But what is the elephant in the room here?
Fury, would you recommend that parents get their children vaccinated against HIV?
I recommend that children follow the CDC schedule. And I will support the CDC schedule when I get in there.
The elephant in the room is the COVID vaccine. And also just the vaccines in general, childhood schedule in particular. And that childhood schedule now includes 3 doses of the Pfizer COVID vaccine at 6 months of age. That is unconscionable.
Jesus.
And for anyone that's read Bobby's book, this doesn't make any sense. This book is very clear about how Bobby feels about the vaccine and everything. Do you remember during COVID when we were all
I just have to pause because I didn't know that. They're recommending 3 FOVID shots by 6 months. Is that what
That's just become clear over the course of the last couple of weeks with Mary Tyler Bowden or whatever, not Mary Taylor, whatever her name was on Tucker. And it may have even come up when that Suzanne Humphreys was on Joe Rogan. So
Okay.
this is just something that's starting to be like talked about, but apparently, yes, if you say you support the schedule, then you're saying you support that.
That's super creepy.
Super creepy.
Okay.
all well aware at the time that kids are not at risk? COVID's not killing kids. They don't need vaccines. And there's lots of evidence that the vaccines are extremely harmful to children and to everyone. Like, the VAERS data clearly shows there's something wrong. More VAERS reported deaths from the COVID vaccine than all other VAERS reported deaths in all of history of VAERS. That blue bar right there is when the COVID vaccines were introduced. This is VAERS data, straight from the CDC. That's not to mention the data about cardiovascular disease in young people, the data about turbo cancers skyrocketing. Who do you think makes money off of treating all of this and all of this for the next forever? This whole situation is feeling very 2008 to me, where the bad guys make a huge problem that's right in front of all of our faces.
2008 was
Housing crisis?
15 years ago. How old was he?
He's 31?
He's 30. So he was like, he remembers how he felt about this kind of situation when he was 12.
But again, it goes back to like having these people who don't understand how the world works leading the conspiracy theory movement that he made up in his little brain.
I mean, it's kind of like, you know, maybe I even feel embarrassed to admit this, but I didn't really understand what was going on with like Iran-Contra and the crack cocaine scandal until I was in my 30s when I researched it. Right?
Well, that's the other
It would
thing.
be like me claiming that, like, don't you remember back in 1984 when all of that, right? Like, come on, dude.
Well, I'm so glad you brought this up because apparently when FOVID started, he was still like a woke tard,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So we're supposed to
top or whatever.
Right. So we're supposed to believe in this short period of time. Now he's the master of all conspiracy, all geopolitical history. Like, it just doesn't add up.
Right.
Do you want more of him?
I mean, not really. We can move on.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right. Do we want to go to Ved more?
But the one thing I do want to say, finally, and it's weird because it just does seem to be, he's offered no evidence. Candace Owens has offered no evidence. And then Glenn Greenwald, we talked about that one time. The only time I can think of where he offered no evidence was when he did the thing with Candace. And then he had Ian on his show right before this shit started with Ian and Candace, which is making me feel like there's like a little cabal inside whatever that reality is that has like certain stories that they've decided it's okay to leak without evidence.
Which is very irresponsible of Glenn.
Right.
Like, we would think that of all of them, at least Glenn would know better.
I mean, I think that his theory, this is not me defending, because I don't understand why he would have Ian Carroll on his show.
No.
But at the time he did that, he made claims about Candace, and then and the idea was that she's not allowed to say anything, right? But he made a claim, and that she didn't refute his claim is the evidence that he's not wrong. So
Right.
at least there was that like sort of feedback loop that you could look for, but this is not. This is just a straight line.
This is a straight line, and it's getting so much play. It's all just very bizarre. And then also, did we talk about last week his fight with David Icke?
I can't remember if you brought it up in the live stream or if you brought it up in our regular show.
Okay.
And I like, obviously he went after David Icke on the Joe Rogan thing, and then they've been having a back and forth on Twitter, but I don't know all of the ins and outs and the updates of it. Is there something sort of more than there was a few weeks ago, or where are we at?
I don't think so, but Charlie Robinson just had him on macroaggressions, and I'm only like half an hour into it, but so I'm curious to see if David Icke is going to say anything else. But I just feel like I'm in a culture where we respected our elders. David Icke is deserving of respect, and I'm about to record a solo show on controlled opposition because I keep getting so many requests, and it's very clear that a lot of people in our community still don't understand that just because people say a couple things that are true, that they can still be controlled op.
Right.
But how like ego and hubris is one of the main like kind of self-controlling mechanisms of bad actors or controlled opposition, and where he wouldn't have the humility to at least ask David Icke, like, what has you thinking this? Like, do you know what I'm saying? But just attacking him head on and saying, what have you done? Like, what are you doing now? Not your stuff from the past, David Icke, but like, what are you doing now to help the situation? I just felt like it was so disrespectful and out of line and gross, especially when he told Joe Rogan that he's not familiar with his work and hasn't read any of his books.
Right. It's so embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I just saw right before we started, like out of the corner of my eye, just popped up. So it just that Alex Jones is on Tucker Carlson, right? Like that, right? But remember when like Alex Jones and David Icke used to have an argument? They didn't like each other, and then they became friends, and they would go on each other's shows, and now they can't stand each other again.
Correct.
Right? But it's like at the time that they began attacking one another, each one of them had like a significant body of work that, whether you agree with them overall or not, had definitely brought some things forward. Now, obviously, there's the claims that like everything that Alex Jones talk about, he stole and perverted and whatever it is, right? But like, it wasn't like this Ian Carroll thing. He wasn't, right? Like by the time he made any sort of critique or accusation of David Icke, like he had a significant body of work, whatever you think about it, behind him, and it is weird, right? Like it is weird. But what's really weird is, my guess is, and I don't know because like I said, I'm not an X, is that there's probably a lot of people defending Ian.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, I'm just not interested enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, because he's the thing of the week. And again, he's speaking to the followers who want some sort of, like billionaire on a white horse to come in and rescue them.
Right. Well, but they like the salacious stuff, right? And all of his stories have this sort of salacious or at least recently anyway, all of his stories that he breaks have this like salacious accusations with no evidence.
Correct. Yeah. But another piece of what you and I do is we're tracking like what is the official narrative talking points this week. And that's a lot of like kind of the patterns that you and I know when we see many content creators, talking heads, whatever, like spewing the same nonsense, whether it's we all should have Elon Musk in our prayers, right? Remember, that was one of them. And we saw at least 5 to 8 different content creators spewing the same story at the same time. So the takedown of Ike is another one of those. The elevating of Alex Jones at the same time as the takedown of Ike is something that we're seeing a lot of content creators doing at the exact same time. And just, you know, for the people.
You mean the elevation of Ian Carroll and the takedown of David Icke. You said Alex Jones.
No, it's Alex Jones.
Oh, okay.
That Ian was repeating on Rogan. So it's because a lot of people from our audience have asked me if I would help break down controlled opposition. And it's just noticing what are the narratives that the same people are spinning. So there's some reason that they're elevating Alex Jones at the same time that they're trying to take down Ike. So when I hear Ian Carroll repeating that, my spidey sense goes off.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes.
Whew.
On to the next one. I'm tired of Ian Carroll. Moving on.
I know. All right. So do we want to do Vedmore?
Yes.
Because that's the only other thing I have.
Okay. Let's do it.
Do you want to give the kids any background on this one while I pull it up?
So I mean, I haven't watched the whole thing. I watched a good portion of it, but there's a Johnny Vedmore video called "The Third Culture," or Musk and Epstein.
Sarah sent this to me, by the way, so thank you so much, Sarah. And for anyone who wants to support the show, it's always helpful when you send us rad videos like this one.
Right, and as part of this, he refers once again to something he's brought up before, which is the edge, which we've heard about in regards to Eric Weinstein's connection to Jeffrey Epstein. But, you know, basically he's explaining sort of the architecture and the techniques that even though they sort of present very differently in terms of like the cultural moment, how, you know, what we're seeing is a technique that was you know, used with Clinton and Tony Blair, and now we're seeing it again here with Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and these types, and that it's literally a training program in tactics and manipulation in getting people to go along with a bad idea and think not only it's a good idea, but that it's their own idea on some level.
Yes, and he's getting receipts for the collusion and kind of expanding the web of collusion. So I only have 2 clips from this, and what I'm going to invite you to do, Emily, while I'm playing these as you're inspired, is to pull up the edge.org website and look at the people, because it's literally everyone involved in anything gross.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, fair use, here we go.
Let me just make sure, hold on, is this the website? I just want to make sure that I am looking at the right website. Here, let me show you. It looks like it's like from 1993, so I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, so go up to people on the far.
Got it. I just want to make sure I was on the right website. Okay, cool. Continue with, you go ahead. Continue.
Okay, cool. Fair use again.
Got it.
Okay, column here. And read my article, David Shaw and the Rise of Jeff Bezos, which will show you the true story behind the rise of Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos was already turning in the same circles of the New York elite as Jeffrey Epstein. Bezos even entered into an online partnership with Sotheby's during the late 1990s, while Mega Group member and Epstein's main funder, Les Wexner, was on the board of the auction house. He also shared a love of Formula One racing with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and there were plenty of other opportunities where Bezos could have interacted with Epstein, but it was at Edge where a direct connection would most likely be found. Bezos attended Brockman's Billionaire dinners almost religiously and was a regular participant in the courses Edge ran for their elite members. From the late 90s onwards, almost every top member of the future ruling technocratic establishment was involved with Edge. Bill Gates of Microsoft was a regular, Sergey Brin of Google was also a stalwart attendee, and the presence of Nathan Myhrvold of Intellectual Ventures should not be understated either.
I just want to pause here for two reasons. One, you and I talked about in our long form the importance of intellectual ventures, which is also represented in the new club that Brett is part of.
Okay.
But remember how Ian said that it was so cool that Nicole Shanahan is dating this Bitcoin guy who she met at Burning Man, because now it means we have Bitcoin in the White House? So does the same thing apply since she partnered up with Sergey Brin as well? Like, is he also excited that now we have Edge in the White House?
Yeah,
By
right.
the same logic?
Yeah.
Okay, continuing.
Larry Page and Eric Schmidt, who were also representing Google, were noted at Edge events alongside Anne Wojcicki of 23andMe, later on you taking over YouTube, and Elon Musk, who was representing SpaceX and Tesla during the period he was attending Edge.
So I just want to pause on that piece because I think I have one more clip from it, but I think that that's pretty significant that you have all these techno-fascist psychopaths meeting in the 90s
Right.
to prep this, and how a big part of it, which Johnny goes into in this, was very much like Event 201, that a big part of their gatherings was how are we going to generate mass consensus for our enslavement plan?
Right. And so, okay, just to like, I know that we've talked about Edge before, but this was something that Jeffrey Epstein was involved in. It was like his SFI, which he also probably is related to SFI as well. Okay.
But they've wiped him. But this is what Johnny's pointing out. He's wiped from the website, and they tried to wipe it, but Johnny has the receipts in this. He has photographs and whatnot.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm looking at the about right now. I did look at it says on their own website what the third culture is. The third culture consists of those scientists and other thinkers in the empirical world who in the empirical world, right? As though there's another world, right? Through their work and expository writing are taking the place of the traditional intellectual in rendering visible the deeper meanings of our lives. So we need other people to tell us what the meaning of our lives are, redefining who and what we are. It is a large enough umbrella to also include the diggerati, the doers, thinkers, and writers, connected in ways that they may not even appreciate. Yeah, the same person has Blackmail on both of them, who have tremendous influence on the emerging communication revolutions surrounding the growth of the internet and the web. Edge is a living document on the web that displays the third culture in action. The content of Edge is the group of people who connect in this way. Edge is a conversation. The ideas presented on Edge are speculative. They represent the frontiers of knowledge in the areas of evolutionary biology, oh, for fuck's sake, genetics, computer science, neurophysiology, psychology, and physics. Some of the fundamental questions posed are: where did the universe come from? Where did life come from? Where did the mind come from? Emerging out of the third culture is a new natural philosophy founded on the realization of the import of complexity, of evolution. Very complex systems, whether organisms, brains, and biosphere, or the universe itself, were not constructed by design. All have evolved. There is a new set of metaphors to describe ourselves, our minds, the universe, and all of the things we know in it. And it is the intellectuals with these new ideas and images, those scientists and others doing things and writing their own books, who drive our times. It goes on, there's more. But now I'm like, oh, I see. This is actually what the intellectual dork web came out of, right? They have new metaphors, new, right, kind of. And this is why Eric thinks that Eric's like, I've been in the trenches doing all of this and whatever. He has been in the trenches with people, but it's been those people, not like fighting with, the people who want, the freedom or whatever the fuck it is, right? But I went through 2 letters of the people, right? Because they have.
You share your screen?
Yeah, I'm going to, right? So I only got through 2 and I couldn't already believe how many people are there. Here's something I noticed that's weird about it. In addition to the people that we obviously know because they're famous.
Right.
There's a lot of the people are people that have the same name as someone else who's famous, but aren't that person, or people who have the same name as someone I know, but it's not that person.
I noticed that with Axelrod.
Okay.
We have Marina Abramovich.
Right here. So like this is this name right there, who I didn't know he was a senior editor at Newsweek. That was the name of my dentist when I was little. And that was like the dentist that I was scared of, right? It was like, you know, probably like the MK Ultra dentist. I'm not saying it's this Jerry Adler, but that was the name of the dentist that I was scared of when I was little, right?
Yep.
Okay, so on the A's, I mean, there's lots of names here that are like vaguely familiar. So there's Robert Axelrod.
Axelrod.
Right. I don't know if he's related to David, but then you get
But
into
Paul Allen.
you get
John
into
Perry Barlow.
I saw John Perry, yeah, right. So John Perry Barlow.
Simon Baron Cohen, but not Sacha Baron Cohen.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
And look, author The Pattern Seekers. What the fuck? That's a pattern. We're the pattern seekers.
Where do you see this?
Look at the end of Simon Baron Cohen.
Oh, got it. Okay. Author, The Pattern Seekers. There you go. All
and
right.
also this whole autism thing that's blowing up now because of that podcast.
Right, the telepathy tapes.
Yep.
Look, there's two Bateson, so that would be related maybe to Gregory Bateson.
Totally.
Right? Okay, so we have let's see, Nicholas Berggruen, right, from the Berggruen Institute. Like that's a name that comes up all the time in some of the researches. There's Jeff Bezos, right? Let's see.
The Alan Turing Institute. I'm reading a book right now about, it's another Templar book about the Turing fraud that Da Vinci pulled with some, the Turing shroud, or maybe it's Turin shroud.
That's the Shroud of Turin. That's different than the Turing Institute.
Okay, sorry.
But there is something from the Turing Institute that has the same name as something else I'm researching for my new series. So there is a lot of this like doubling up, like, you know, kind of thing. Nick Bostrom, we hear that
I've heard
name
that
a lot.
before. Is he part of SFI?
He might be.
Might be.
Future of Humanity Institute. Super Path Dangers and Strategies. We've got Sergey Brin, David Brin. Let's see. We're only in the B's, folks, and there's already this many people. Let's see. Let's go to C. Right, see if there's anything interesting here. Sean Carroll, he's a physicist that you know, like he's been on like Lex Fridman and things like that, right?
Yep.
Let's see, what Noam Chomsky, and we know Noam Chomsky has connections to Jeffrey Epstein because that's one of the things that came out on one of that's not a secret anymore.
Yep.
Right, so let's see what else we got here.
Douglas Coupland, who is also part of
Laura said
Wally of the Neurohacker Collective.
Who is this person?
Douglas Coupland, the writer, he's also part of the Neurohacker Collective.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And maybe SFI.
Brian Cox.
No. Lifeboat. He's
Brian Cox. This guy's like got a TV show on like the Science Channel, and he's been on Joe Rogan a bunch of times.
Yep.
I wonder if like Edge is where all of the guests I
just had that thought at the same time. I'm wondering how many Joe Rogan guests come from Edge.
From Edge. Laura came in to tell me that we've gotten some super chats. We'll yeah, thank you. Right?
Nice. Thank you.
Let's see. Let's go to W and see how many Weinsteins are on the. Oh, Eric and Brett both on.
They're both there.
Right.
Both there.
Let's see. Who else we got?
I looked up Schmachtenberger. He's not on it, but I wonder if Eisenstein is.
Let's go to E.
Who else? Who's that? Jim Rutt? I wonder if he's part of it.
Look, so I don't see Eisenstein. No Eisenstein. Let's go check out Rutt. Lisa Randall, who's been on lots of these. She's been on Lex Fridman and all that kind of stuff. Let's see if Ruddy is there. Good old Ruddy. Nope, no Rutt.
Rushkoff, he's also part of Lifeboat Foundation.
Yeah. It would be fun to like play a game where like people in the chat room guess a person who would be on the list, and then we go look for it. Thank you.
I like that.
Thank you, Christine Mose, Jim, Lily's mom. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, guys. Oh, just doing your part in the simulation. Got to. All right. We could play a fun game. If anybody wants to type in a name in all capital letters, we'll go and check and see if they're in the Rolodex here. Right? Like let's see if there's anyone with the last name Moyer. Let's play that game. Oh, there's a Meyer. There's two Meyers spelled different ways. But not here. I'm the screen share. There's no
Thank
Moyer.
you, Justin, for the
Thank
super
God.
chat. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate it. Okay, let's see. Should we see if there's any cats? There's Terrence McKenna.
Ugh. What about Leary? What about
John McWhorter. John, he's the one. He's with that Glenn Lowry guy. They were part of like the sort of conservative black guys who were like going around giving legitimacy to like certain conversations and whatever it is, right? Okay, what was the other one? Who did you say?
I forgot who I just said. I wonder if Lex Fridman is on it.
All right, we'll look for that in a second. Just rolling through these.
Joe Rogan.
Carrie Mullis, now no longer with us. Carrie Mullis, who invented the PCR test and hated Anthony Fauci. He's there. Okay.
Elon Musk, but we already know he was part of it.
Okay, who did you say? You just said someone a second ago.
I already forgot.
Well, let's check. Let's see if there are any cats. Is there?
But also look at next to the names how prominent MIT is.
MIT, yeah.
How prominent Yale is. Like even going beyond the names.
MIT and those were the places that Jeffrey Epstein was obsessed with. Like that, he was always wanting to host science parties and shit.
What about Gaffney?
I can't. K won't open. Look at that.
Or Marx Hubbard.
Okay, hold on a second. Let's go. Who is?
That's interesting.
Let's go. Fridman. And now none of them will open. All right, I'm gonna reauthorize the website. Hold on a second. Let's see. Nope, it won't let me.
Aubrey. Rafa's asking about Aubrey.
Aubrey was not on there. I didn't see it.
Okay, Dustin Moskovitz. Ooh, that's a good one, Laura.
I didn't see it, but I think now it might. Okay, we're still on M here, but let's see if there's Moskowitz. But I'm sure that Moskowitz was probably at the same Burning Man camp with Nicole, who was invested in some of his companies when she met the old boyfriend and the new boyfriend.
Right?
I don't think, but it would surprise me if
Huberman, Jason Lightfoot saying Huberman. That's a good one.
Okay, so now I was able to reset the website. So let's go to the questions were Lex Fridman and what were the other ones?
Huberman and Aubrey.
Right. Aubrey's not there. I know for sure he's not there. Okay, there's no.
Who's the other guy who's partnered with Schnappenberger?
No Fridman. Who was the other person that you said? It was Fridman, Aubrey.
So we have a Robert Anton Wilson, a Huberman, an Aubrey Marcus.
Oh, Huberman. Let's go to Huberman and then we'll go to Wilson. I didn't see it in Anton, but let's see.
Zach Stein. I wonder if Zach Stein's there.
Sam Harris is there.
Of course.
Right, Sam Harris.
Steven Pinker, which kind of shocked me, but Pinker has been part of this for a while.
Yeah, it doesn't shock me. Donald Hoffman, right? He's on all those shows. Let's see. Jim Holt, I've heard that name before. This Sabina Hassenfender, who now comes out and says she's going against the scientific establishment, but she's here.
Yeah.
Bernardo Huberman, but not. You know what's fucking weird though? Speaking of Huberman, Laura and I are watching some, like, after you watch a show that's like a lot of work and hard to understand, sometimes you need to watch something easy. So we were watching like a docu-series about a serial killer in Long Island called Gone Girls.
Okay.
And the serial killer ended up being named Rex Andrew Huberman, not Huberman, but like Huberman. And of course, Andrew Huberman has this, reputation now of like being a womanizer or whatever it is. Ariana Huffington. Okay, what was the next? What was the other one?
Do we look up Huberman? Okay, we did. Aubrey Marcus.
Yeah.
Pinchbeck. That's a good one.
Yeah, Aubrey Marcus isn't there. Pinchbeck. Larry Page is there.
Of course.
Let's see.
So they're more future.
John Parker. That's the Napster guy, like the guy who started Napster. So this
and Facebook.
Right. Yeah.
What about Teal?
All right, we'll look for that. Hold on a second. Steven Pinker.
Yep.
Nope, I don't see any Daniel Pinchbeck. No Pinchbeck.
Well, he seems like he's kind of on the outs with the agenda, just trying to get his way back in.
Okay, what was the one you just said?
Zach Stein.
Error occurred.
Oy vey.
Look at this. They're like, these girls cannot see. Oh, look at this.
What? Losers.
Boy, for such a okay, now it's back. Okay, Stein. Nope, internal server error.
Wow. Okay, let me try it on my end.
This is crazy. They're updating it in real time, being like, cannot let these girls see this.
They're not letting me either. I just have the spin.
Wow.
Okay.
You broke it in real time.
I got the same error. Shut the fuck up. 500 internal. Okay. Can anyone in the audience?
It's just easy. Edge.org, right? If like they probably haven't gotten this many like clicks on their website in years, and because I just clicked it like 15 times, they're like, we're under
Set off an alarm.
DDS attack, right?
Totally. The alarm is gone off. Okay, I'm trying it on my Safari server.
Dana White, interesting. Jason Giorgiani, and yeah, Giorgiani's everywhere lately.
Okay, I was able to pull it up on my Safari, so I'm going to share with us.
Okay, let's see. You go. You do it, girl.
Okay.
Thor at the door, Steve. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve. Larry Sanger. Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Roger Skank. I know that's not what it says, but I like mine better. Do you see anyone disgusting?
Not so much. Murray Shanahan. I wonder if that's any relationship to Nicole Shanahan.
Ooh, can you look it up?
Murray Shanahan. Okay, I'll look up Murray Shanahan while you. All right, Murray Shanahan is a professor at Imperial College London.
Oh, Jesus.
2 weeks to flatten the curve, right? Or something.
Yeah, exactly. They give us all of the, they and MIT gave us all the computer models.
Right. Murray Patrick Shanahan is a professor of cognitive robotics.
Oy vey.
Imperial College London in the Department of Computing and a senior scientist at DeepMind. He researches artificial intelligence, robotics, and cognitive science. It's weird. That's almost the same bio that I've heard people say about Lex, that he's researches artificial intelligence. He worked at DeepMind and he's into robotics and cognitive science. I heard like Joe Rogan say that about Lex or something like that sometime.
Rafa asked us to look up Mandelbrot and he's here.
Ah, wow. Good.
You get a prize, Rafa.
Good call. Yeah, yes, a prize. And also I owe you an email, Rafa. I keep forgetting. I'm so sorry. Yes, a prize and an email. Okay, the email is not the prize. I would email you anyway, but you get a prize.
Look at all the, I wonder how many publications
but Turing comes up in this Shanahan's bio. I'm looking at this Shanahan bio here. This is a crazy bio. Yeah, this is kind of a crazy bio. So he is weird looking. He is weird looking. First of all, let me show you what he looks like. Right. And then here, I've told you a little bit about him, but his career in research at Imperial College in the Department of Computing, Shanahan was a postdoc from 87 to 91 and an advanced research fellow until 95. At Queen and Mary Westfield College, he was a senior research fellow. He worked in the Department of Electrical Engineering. Shanahan was a scientific advisor for Alex Garland's 2014 film Ex Machina. Garland credited Shanahan with correcting an error in Garland's initial scripts regarding the Turing test. So now it's the third time. Like
that's weird.
Turing. Shanahan is on the external advisory board for the Cambridge Center for the Study of Existential Risk. So that's some like Schmachtenberger shit. That's Brett Weinstein.
That's lifeboat shit. So he's at Imperial College and Cambridge. Ugh.
Right, and then probably lifeboat. In 2016, Shanahan and his colleagues published a proof of concept for deep symbolic reinforcement learning, a specific hybrid AI architecture that combines symbolic AI with neural networks. Look at that. And that exhibits a form of transfer learning. In 2017, citing the potential brain drain on academia of the current tech hiring frenzy as an issue of concern, Shanahan negotiated a joint position at Imperial College London and DeepMind. The Atlantic and Wired UK have characterized Shanahan as an influential researcher.
Now, I wonder how many people...
Technological Singularity is his book.
But wait, hold on. I wonder how many people from The Atlantic and Wired are also represented on Edge in terms of this like insular self-flatulence deal.
Circle jerk of self-contained flatulence?
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen to this. These are his views. Shanahan said in 2014 about existential risks from AI that the AI community does not think it's a substantial worry, whereas the public does think it's much more of an issue. The right place to be is probably in between those two extremes, he said. He added that it's probably a good idea for AI researchers to start thinking now about the existential risk issues that Stephen Hawking and others have raised. Shanahan said in 2018 that there is no need to panic yet about an AI takeover because multiple conceptual breakthroughs would be needed for artificial general intelligence.
Oh, wait, we have to acknowledge the word yet. He doesn't say there's no need to panic.
Right. No need to panic yet, right? It's impossible to know when AGI might be achievable. He stated that AGI would come hand in hand with true understanding, enabling, for example, safer automated vehicles and medical diagnosis applications. So he is the fucking problem, right? In 2020, Shanahan characterized AI as lacking the common sense of a human child.
Now, were we able to look up if he's related to Nicole?
Let's check it out. Let's go. Murray Shanahan, Nicole Shanahan.
I want to be cross-referencing with Lifeboat because I bet there's so much crossover.
It doesn't seem that that's the case, but I don't think either of these people probably have completely honest, their faces actually look kind of similar. Look at her, look at her face, right? And then look at his face. Right? It's like a similar face shape, but I wonder if there's
He's got that really long space between his nose.
I wonder if there's
and
a
his
single
lip.
shared parent, or if they come from the same Shanahan clan, right? Like an Irish name.
Shanahan clan.
Yeah.
Lifeboat
That's
updated.
That's a good name for the show, Shanahan.
Shanahan clan.
We have two options here. Okay.
So Lifeboat updated their website, but I wonder how many of the people on Edge are also on Lifeboat. I bet there's a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
That's it for my clips.
All right. So I have one here, it's always fun to see when others out there in the field catch on to.
Wait a second. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be an asshole.
Okay.
I have to share it.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ball game now. Can you see this?
Yeah, it's a definitely different looking website for sure.
It's totally different. And look at their programs. Sunshield.
Right, but that was there before.
Personality Preserver.
Yeah. These
Gamma Ray. So is this all the same?
It's all the same. It's just they redid their website. It looks like it's more modern now. It doesn't look like it's from Netscape days. The old website looked like it was built on Netscape and right.
Oh, but look, fight AIDS. We know how AIDS is like the big shroud for all their money laundering bullshit in the government.
Yep.
All right, I'll get off my upset. Oh, but ARC is here. They've added ARC.
There you go.
Whoa.
Yep.
Okay,
so this one is just a very brief, clever, it's fun when the others finally catch on to what you've been saying. So from Whitney Webb on Katie Halper, it was part of a bigger show where she talked with Norman Finkelstein too, and it's only part of the interview, I guess, is here. I think some of it's on her Patreon, but she pointed out,
to hear about the different places he had gone to school and lived and moved. And then we'll get it when we talk about Epstein. I don't know if you know what high school I went to, but guess what high school I went to?
Oh, the same one as him. Or where he taught.
Yeah, exactly. Dalton. And that's where Barr was and everything. I just realized, by the way, I was re-listening because your book is also great as an audiobook, but I was re-listening to it. It's just fun. There's even a virus, right? Epstein Barr or Barr Epstein virus.
Yeah, I remember when I think we have a show called that, right?
Totally.
Right. So nice to know that others have caught on to the fact that they're fucking with us, dude.
Right.
They are fucking with us. All right. Shall we go to the sandbox and see who's got some mud balls to throw?
Yes.
Let's do it. Kids, if you have questions, comments, general banter that you want to toss into the salad here, all capital letters. And I'm going to roll back and see.
Wait, Jonna said Lifeboat is on the list. Is Lifeboat on the Edge list, Jonna?
Or is Lifeboat on its own list?
Right.
All right, I'm rolling back to see how much of this I can look at before my screen does the thing it always does. We're getting lots of hearts and smiles and loves.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, we love it.
Oh, there's so many other names people want us to try. Sam Altman would have been a good one.
Oh yeah. Well, we invite people to go and take a look for themselves and report back to us next week what their favorites were.
Yeah, it's just edge.org, super easy peasy.
Oh yeah, but Jonna is right that Ian has a Freddie Mercury mustache going on.
Sunny Mooney found Max Tegmark, Donald Hoffman.
Yeah, those are all people that have been on Lex Fridman. They're all like,
Love this collective game we've got going.
Yes, this is fun. Like we should make a drinking game out of the life, but let's do this. We should make like a get together. We should have like a get together at a bar, and we can do shots based on how many people's names co-occur on the websites that we should. Or something like that, right?
I think you're onto something.
I'm onto something, right? Yes, Freddie had a magical voice. I don't think Ian can sing, so I love Freddie Mercury.
Okay, so I was in Iceland and I insisted that Ross and I drive to the Museum of Witchcraft, which was like a bajillion miles away. And so when you're driving through Iceland on a map, there are all these like towns, but then when you drive through, I realized they're not towns at all. It's like a single family house. That's how like there's really nothing there.
Yes.
We're in the middle of nowhere out to see the Museum of Witchcraft. And I was there because I had a press pass for the film festival, and there was a Freddie Mercury documentary, and we were like, should we try to book it back in record time to catch the documentary? And then all of a sudden, where we had no reception, a Queen song came on, and we took it as a sign, and it was all like perfectly aligned. Like we made it. We found parking like right in front. We got there like the second the movie was starting. It was all
I love it. Freddie Mercury is a magical being. Sure. I'm obsessed with Iceland. I really would love to go to Iceland. Like my favorite, I loved the scenes in Iceland from the series Sense8. I don't know if you ever watched the series Sense8.
I love Sense8. I was like, I want to whatever it was called.
Yes, right. But the scenes there were so fantastic. And then I also liked, what was I think the series we watched was called The Murder at the End of the World. That was also shot in Iceland. That looked fantastic as well.
Okay, so I love Iceland so much. And if I wasn't such a pussy about the cold, clear, cancel, delete. If I wasn't such a scro about the cold, I would be living there. But if you like those shows, I recommend watching the documentary Heima, Heima.
Okay.
So it's about Radiohead discovered Sigur Rós, and they were just this like local Icelandic band. And then Sigur Rós toured the whole world with Radiohead. And then they came back home to Iceland and they did a series of free concerts all outside in different locales that were kind of like environmentally endangered. And it's so beautiful, and it's such a phenomenal documentary.
Heima.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, there's a question for you, Dani. Any comments about dealing with the Rogan gatekeeping protectors on Union of the Unwanted?
It was just another instance where I was like, are you kidding me? These people don't get it either. I mean, Miriam got it, of course, and it seemed like Monica got it, but Sam like so dominated the entire conversation. It was basically like the Sam show. It was just more disappointing that like just to see and the gatekeeping was so lame. Like Sam kept saying like, I know these people, they're just human beings. They're just human beings. And I said, well, I know plenty of people who started shilling for the dark side, and they're all human beings too. Like Sam's reasons didn't make any sense. And then I said, well, they brought up Alex Jones on Rogan. And I said, well, what about the moment where they went to the bathroom together? And Sam's like, it's just a bathroom. And it's like, so people can't collude in a bathroom? It just felt very empty and lame and like a big dumb boys club.
Well, it's just, it's not in their interest to have a different opinion than the one that they do. So they don't.
I honestly think that the majority of gatekeeping we're seeing right now protecting Rogan is from dudes who want to be on Rogan.
100%. They don't even know him. They've never met him, right? But like, and it's funny because they'll tell you that like they don't listen or they don't watch or whatever it is. But I can't tell you how many people I know for a fact, right? Because I've either heard it from them, like people who, you know, are trying to rise in this whole thing from a variety of fields, not just from like straight like truth or conspiracy or whatever kind of thing, who I've heard either from them or from people close to them that like they're obsessed with that.
I honestly think that's what's going on. And I mean, I have a little bit of compassion because like back in the day, I wanted to be on Rogan too, but it's just indicative of this like adorable naivete of people still think that the media space is organic and just rewards good work out of the kindness of its heart, and they don't understand. But what's annoying is that the people who don't understand, as you and I always talk about, are pushed to the front of the room and are gatekeeping all the rest of us.
I'm looking to see if Joe Rogan is on the Edge website. No, he's not. No, he's not. But it was an interesting thought, right? But it does seem that his booking agent like spends time there, right? Anywho, yeah, no, I know. Like, and this is the whole like it's a weird you know, especially like having grown up in Hollywood with which both you and I did, right? It is this like weird part of culture overall in America and probably worldwide, but definitely if you grew up in Los Angeles, to like imagine that like someday for some reason you're going to find yourself with a spotlight on you, whether your thing is comedy or acting or singing or sports or whatever it is, even if it's something just like as simple as like, it is kind of weird that when like we were little, we were on TV shows related to gymnastics. You were on the Mouser Size, and I was on AM Los Angeles and Good Morning, all of that kind of stuff. And
oh wait, also what was that other one we were on where they like danced and counted down the pop songs? Solid Gold.
I wasn't on Solid Gold. I was too young when that was happening, but of course, because Kahea was on Solid Gold and she was working at the gym, right?
I was on twice.
Oh my God, I found the funniest old video of Kahea on Solid Gold. I was thinking about her a few weeks ago, right? And I was like, I wonder if there's any videos of her on Solid Gold. And like, it was fun. It was great, right? It was funny. But you know, so when you're young and then something like that happens, and even like people who live in cities that aren't big, like they would have like local television shows that kids could come and like be on. So that's something that is brought to our attention really early on in our childhood, that for some reason there's something desirable about like having the spotlight on you in that way, right? And then when you get into this and like YouTube is this like weird, fascinating thing where like you can do this whenever you want, and to the extent that you can attract an audience, you can be a center of attention or whatever it is, right? But, you know, at a certain point after you've been doing this for a while, and a lot of the people you've mentioned have been doing this longer than I have, right? Like not only did I never thought I was going to be on Joe Rogan or anything like that, but like even things within our like more of our realm where I thought, okay, like it might be cool to be on that someday, you know, whatever, like, you know, now sometimes I'm just like, thank God I'm not, right? Like I have about as much attention as I can like deal with in any healthy way. And even still, like sometimes there's things about this that are like not normal and not natural and make you have psychosis, right? Like I don't want any more psychosis than I already have. And if that means having more psychosis, I'm not interested.
So I'm completely with you. And honestly, like I don't like being, is this a public person? Like, who knows? I like that our tribe is small and like, we're all the scorched earth people who get it. And it's not my preference to like have more attention on me. But brass tacks fundamentals, we would get way more super chats if we were on Joe Rogan, and life would be easier in a practical day-to-day. Like, I think that's what's frustrating about this particular game is like that brings in more income, but the trade-off is attention that we don't want. So it's kind of weird.
Like, right? Like almost every day I have a moment where it would be like, it would be nice if I didn't have to rush off and do like a labor job so I could like have some time to rest or spend more time on this other thing I want to work out. But also on that same day, I'll be like, thank God I don't have any more, right? because I see crazy shit people go through and whatever it is. There's something like completely unnatural about this thing that we do, right? Yeah. So there's lots of requests for you to see you on Solid Gold.
If anyone wants to find it, so I don't know if you guys remember the Solid Gold structure, but every show they would have like a popular pop song, and then they would go into a different structure and have people like lip syncing. So I was just tumbling in it. And it was a Billy Joel song, Tell Her About It. So if anyone wants to find the Solid Gold with the Tell Her About It, that was in our gym. And then you can see me doing flips.
You're more up on Kanye than I am. So Hayden wants to know, do you think this Kanye thing is legit or an operation? Is there a new Kanye thing?
Yeah, I was going to say, is there a new one? I was talking to Molly, who I guess has known him for a long time through the restaurants.
Yeah.
And she was saying it's very clear that he's being controlled by the bad guys.
Yeah.
It seems like he's the quintessential example of MK Ultra. High Heart Wellness was one of the people who asked me to like kind of expand on the controlled opposition. So I've been making notes behind the scenes of like the different types. And I put Kanye in the same realm as like Sirhan or Charles Manson, where like something else is controlling him. That's my guess. I'm just guessing.
Well, he always references that Sierra Canyon shit, and Sierra Canyon is really close to where Manson Tunnel is in Chatsworth, and where I say that there's like some sort of portal to another realm. Allah, if anybody has ever seen the TV series Dark, I see like Charles Manson as like a character like what we were dealing with, the guy who first started crossing dimensions or timelines in Dark. It's like that kind of character, and then things just got crazier from there, right? Okay, somebody said, what you were saying about Kanye in the most recent Candace thing that I watched some of, she was back on harping about Harley Pasternak, the trainer that like, Kanye
drugged him and stuff.
Right? Like who tried to, said they were going to send him back to La La Land or whatever. But apparently she's been able to find 2 other Pasternaks that maybe have like intelligence or whatever connections. One being someone named Walter Pasternak, who seemed to have been involved in some way, like something related to MK Ultra, who was subpoenaed to Congress to testify but didn't show up. And then there was another person, I forget if his name was like Samuel. It was like a different sounding name, like maybe more Russian sounding name or something, Pasternak, who wrote like a book about communism and subversion or something like that. So I'm not saying that she's trying to see if they're connected to this Harley Pasternak person, but it was an interesting portion of the show where other than that, she just kept referring to the Ian Carroll, RFK, whatever nonsense bullshit and whatever it is. But the Pasternak part was interesting.
Okay, so I have a thought about Kanye, and Hayden said, look up Kanye's academics interview. I'm generally entertained by Kanye, so I have no problem putting myself through that. But one thing that I do want to point out is, did you watch the Academy Awards or see any pictures from it?
No.
Okay, I don't know any of the movies, but I'm, as our audience knows, I like me some fashion. And I checked out the dresses that people are wearing, and everyone's naked or wearing some dress that's like they're virtually naked. I found it offensive and disgusting. But just in terms of what a powerful culture shaper Kanye is, he was the one who started that. But with his bringing his wife to some red carpet thing who was like half naked. So I just want to give him props for that disgusting trend.
So this morning, Laura and I were talking about I'm reading this a book about like music and electronic music and stuff like that. And we were talking about the experiences she's had when she's gone with me to some of these things and like why the things she likes about it and the things she doesn't. But one of the things that makes her feel unsafe is the amount of people wearing not enough clothes.
I'm so with you, Laura. It's like that level of demoralization of our culture and women not having their own backs and women being so insecure that they're just playing off their tits and ass. Like it hurts my heart that this is where we're at.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I mean, I'm one of those people that just, I don't pay attention to it. I don't like it. I obviously would never dress like that, but I've never thought about whether it made me feel like unsafe or whatever. I just think it's retarded. But you know,
it has me worried for them.
yes, I have thought that before, right?
Yeah.
For sure. All right, I think we have reached the end. And yes, High Heart Wellness says we may very well have seen Kanye break his MK Ultra at some point, but then he gets looped back in. I think that's a lot of celebrities, right? A lot of celebrities are sort of in and out of it, and sometimes the person who helps them break out of one layer of it just laid the foundation for the next layer of it that they're about to loop them in on. That's very much how programming works, both on a societal level and on an individual basis. That like the person who brought forward the solution to the last problem you had was just laying the groundwork for the new problem you're gonna have, right? So
Totally. I would like to give everyone a heads up that I'm going to be on with Robert Phoenix this Friday Farcast, so please join us.
All right, excellent. Okay, I think we're done. Are we done?
Christine Mose has a question for us.
Yes, Christine, anything for you, dear?
When will you two start the most cosmopolitan, switched-on, cocktail-drinking, homesteading compound with a gymnastics facility, tennis courts, and a few DJs?
Oh, I'm fucking down for that.
I'm way down for that. Yeah, thanks for laying the groundwork.
All right, well, thank you for the inspiration. Now it's something to think about, Christine. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Okay, we're done. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.